Alrighty, good morning everybody. Welcome back to the third episode of the SMC Livestream Show. I hope you've all had a fantastic weekend. New week, new day, new trade plan, as Monday being a trader's favorite day of the week. But yeah, very excited to host today's episode again with Hein. We'll be here every single morning, 10:30 a.m. GMT plus 2 South African time. I've got some nice background music here for you guys as well, so we can dive straight into what we potentially can expect from price today, and also potentially going into session for the rest of the week, and then yeah, even expectation going into next year. But yeah, has everybody had a good weekend? Has everybody had an epic start to the week? Just type in chat if you guys can also hear us clearly. Also welcome Hein.
Thanks, Jay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the third stream, as Jay said. I'm glad to have you guys back. And y'all just type in the chat there if you guys can hear us properly.
Morning, gents. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Grant. Good morning, Bojan. Good morning, Lyndon. Morning, Jacques. Morning, Yanku. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, so as per usual, we'll dive into normal trade plan, normal markup, potential. Again, as I said, expectation throughout the week, also giving you guys a clear understanding of what we can expect from price going into our session today and the rest of the week. And yeah, ultimately giving you guys that what it's like going into session every morning with that consistency of markup, updating markup, formulating trade plans, and ultimately executing those trade plans. And on top of that, also managing risk. Okay. Alrighty, so yeah, just to quickly break down on what I've been chatting about EURUSD this morning, obviously that being my main pair the last couple of weeks, really. So on the, if we go all the way back to the daily, okay, we just do some top down as I've marked out over here. The daily swing is just currently bearish with our most recent daily breaks of structures to the downside, candle body closure, daily strong highs. Pullback started after that 4 hour, started shifting bullish, which indicated this as a daily weak low and indicated the start of the daily pullback. We've now pulled back into premium of this entire daily swing range. So the eventual expectation and anticipation is for that 4 hour to start shifting bearish, for a bit of a 4 hour pullback into supply, where we can look to continue targeting those daily swing lows. Not needless to say this is going to play out, that's just the expectation and what order flow is currently printing. So we can anticipate a start of a bit of a pullback off of these older areas of supply. Okay, so if we hop down onto the 4 hour time frame, all right, most recent 4 hour strong lows took out the previous week highs. We had a bit of a pause in price action over here. We didn't create an internal break of structure to the downside. We just had a bit of a liquidity sweep to then continue targeting these highs. So therefore, this 4 hour week high, rule-based, is not official yet. Someone said in chat here, there's an echo on your voice. I think that could be Hein's loudspeaker on the other side because I can hear myself twice as well. But
let me just quickly fix that for you.
Morning, everyone. Can hear you. Morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Epic. Am I late? No, we've just started about 5 minutes ago, so you're just in time. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying regarding the 4 hour on EURUSD, we have not started the official pullback yet. We want to see those internal lows break to the downside. That will then confirm this as the official 4 hour week high and the potential start of the 4 hour pullback, which we can look to into at least the discount of this range to then continue potentially targeting those weak highs, understanding that all of this bullish order flow is just catering for a daily pullback. So until these 4 hour strong lows are taken out, price is still to continue with the 4 hour order flow, and that's where we can anticipate the start of the 4 hour pullbacks and potentially the end of the daily pullbacks of older areas of supply. Okay, so if we have a look into the M15 this morning, really what I was looking for, M15, strong lows, previous break of structure to the upside, is for a bit of an M15 pullback into at least these areas of demands, potentially using the Asian liquidity model, which we discussed on stream earlier this morning with MM Funded, to then potentially look for confirmation to continue targeting those weak highs. We also said, and this would be a more aggressive way of approaching price, is looking for shorts, especially after that M15 change of character, Okay, M15 supply and control. We swept the initial supply, mitigated the extreme, printed our displacement fair value gap, which again we discussed on stream with Funded this morning, to then continue a little bit of a pullback. I'm just targeting a mechanical 4R, simply because it's both counter swing and counter internal trend. So therefore, it's going to be lower probability if I'm targeting areas down here or down here, just because it's completely against order flow. So for the purpose of this trade, we had that M15 change of character, fractal shift, supply and control, sweep of the liquidity, mitigation into the extreme supply. And I like the fact that it actually swept the more recent supply into the extreme, then printed that displacement fair value gap entry to look to go short. Just understanding that this is just a slight M15 pullback. Potentially, I will react to as price approaches this area. If we do get quite a bit of sharp bearish momentum, I will look to target the Asian lows, and then from there, look for the Asian liquidity model to potentially then start going long. Okay, so understanding that all of this is just a daily pullback, but you also have to keep in mind, as I've labeled over here, okay, M15 swing and internal is bullish. Could look for phase A longs using the Asian liquidity model. So phase A longs is pro swing and pro internal trading. But we have to keep in mind that the H4 pullback is due after that previous swing break of structure to the upside over here, which we have not started that pullback yet. Okay, so that's where we have to keep in mind it is due, and we confirm that once the M15 strong low breaks to the downside. Okay. But yeah, I don't see price today coming all the way down to these M15 strong lows to target these lows. I definitely just want to interim for today, potentially keep pro trend, and we'll just react to what price does as we start to approach our areas of interest as the session goes by. Okay, so just to quickly recap the entry model that I took over here, I like the fact that we mitigated the supply. Initial reaction, all right, displacement fair value gap. We actually created some accumulation, sweep of that high, slight mitigation into the M15 extreme, then the real displacement market structure shift, and I used the volume imbalance gap over here, which we mitigated beautifully, continuing now short at about 1 to 1R. In the interim, just targeting these lows, and we'll react to a price and determine if I'm going to hold further to the Asian lows as we approach that area in the market. Okay, so does everybody have a clear understanding of EU? Potential breakdown of what we can expect going later into session this afternoon and also further on into this week. Nice, Jay. I entered the same trade. Epic stuff, epic stuff. Yeah. So understanding this is, well, theoretically the lowest probability of trading, the phase D shorts, which again is both counter swing and counter internal. So what that means is we're just trading the anticipation of the M15 pullback, okay, which was confirmed by the M15 change of character. So theoretically, this should be the lowest probability phase to be trading in, but again, it was 100% valid setup with the M15 change of character, with the 1 minute entry model as discussed in Funded, and then also the anticipation of the M15 pullback and the 4-hour pullback, which is both due. Okay. Alrighty, let me hand over to Hein. He can break down EU. He can show you a potential setup that he's got. I see he did post a live trade setup in HVD FX, so we'll break that down on stream this morning. Let me just quickly switch over to Hein's screen. There we go. Okay, give me a sec. I can't see Hein's screen. Show on stream. There we go. Okay, you guys should be able to see Hein's screen. Over to you, Hein.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Morning, guys. Yeah, so all the same, actually, when it comes to Jay's higher time narrative, on it, obviously, I just don't go down to the lower time frames. Potential trade for today. So if we just go down to the 15-minute on EU, we see that we had our swing breaks of structures over here and over here, and then we had our most recent break of structure to the upside over here. So now obviously we are going to target the upside. So over here we created a unmitigated order block, inefficient push, and now we just wait for some valid inducement to then target this area over here at, what's this pricing, 09041. Okay, and then stop loss just below the low, and then we're going to target a 1 to 3, but we're not going to enter those yet. we are just going to wait for more inducement. One thing I want to break down as well just quickly is the USD CAD trade from Friday. What happened here was we were looking at this area over here, which we did actually take with the members at HVDFX. We had entries over here. Stop loss was about 12 pips, about there, right? And then we hit 1-to-1, and then we had stops to break even, closing 25%. And then unfortunately we did hit break even as well. But again, yeah, this trade was called on the last stream, which we actually did make about 0.25% on this trade. Yeah, but coming back to EU, this is actually the only thing I'm looking at for the day as of now. Jay, do you have any other pairs that you are looking for trades for today?
The only real pair that I was looking at this morning was XAU USD, potentially just continuing pro trend with longs, but we'll cover that now. Let me just quickly shift back to my screen here. Okay, there we go. So back to my screen, what we discussed on this morning, we wanted to see a bit of an M15 pullback into these higher time frame M15 POIs to eventually continue targeting those M15 week highs, but also keeping in mind, if we have a look at the 4-hour time frame, we have had that 4-hour swing shift to the downside, which was our 4-hour boss over here, understanding that this bearish shift is just confirmation of the overall daily pullback phase, because we had the weekly pullback into the weekly extreme demand, daily shifted bullish, understanding that has now shifted in realignment with the overall weekly pro trend. But after the daily breakup structure, we are then due for a bit of a 4-hour pullback, which we can anticipate off older areas of supply, which was this candle range over here, the supply fractal range. We then had mitigation, printed that 4-hour change of character, that pullback into the supply to then continue with a bit of a 4-hour pullback. Expectation was to respect these strong lows to continue targeting those weak highs. But understanding the daily, this 4-hour strong broke to the downside, because that's how we confirm the start of the daily pullback. So we had a 4-hour break, mitigation into older 4-hour demand. Okay. M15 started shifting bullish, bit of an M15 pullback to then continue targeting those weak highs, understanding that this is just due for a pullback. So really, one of two things can happen on XAUSD going into this week. As much as the 4-hour strong highs are strong, they're also the daily weak highs. So the M15 could continue bullish to follow through the daily order flow, or that M15 can start to shift bearish, target the 4-hour weak lows, understanding we can potentially have more of a daily pullback. As if we have a look at the daily time frame, we have not mitigated the extreme of this entire range, so there's definitely room for a bit more of a pullback into the discount of this range to then potentially start targeting those weak highs. Okay, so again, we don't really have to worry at all about trying to predict that. We'll react to price as we go along. So we've now mitigated areas of the extreme 4-hour supply. If we have a look at the M15, we've had that M15 internal shift to the downside. We had a bit of that pullback into this entire 4-hour change of character supply and the refined M15 supply zone, which was this candle here, also at the 50%, because that's an equilibrium zone. Candle wicks is bigger than the body. So yeah, what I would potentially like to see on XAU going into session today, we have our Asian session lows over here. Okay, if we get a sweep of these lows, especially into the higher time frame POIs, we can look for our 1-minute model to continue M15 pro trend and daily pro trend. Otherwise, what we could look for is if price, I don't think price will do this, is a bit of a pullback into the M15 supplies, maybe the sweep of Asian highs, to then continue short, riding the anticipation of the daily pullback and also 4-hour pro trend. Okay. But yeah, ultimately, my trade plan going into XAU USD is to see a sweep of these Asian lows into the extreme of the M15 swing range to ultimately then stick M15 pro trend to look for longs. Okay, as our daily highs are weak, our weekly highs are weak. The only time frame that's bearish is the 4-hour, understanding that that is catering for a daily pullback phase. Okay, and again, as I just broke down, there's definitely room for more of a daily pullback as we've not mitigated the extreme of the overall daily swing range, which the discount is sitting just below this equilibrium over here. Okay, Alrighty. So yeah, do you guys have a bit of a clear understanding of what we can expect from XAU? We've just had that M15 break, M15 strong lows, mitigation into 4-hour extreme supply at the 4-hour strong high, internal shift to the downside, which was also our 4-hour change of character. There we go. Being our 4-hour chock supply, a little bit of a pullback, and now really continuing from there. So if we take out these lows, we could look for a potential continuation entry to continue with the anticipation of the end of the 4-hour pullback, because we have now mitigated extreme at the 4-hour strong high, and understanding that any bearish momentum that plays out here is just a bit of a daily pullback phase, which the eventual expectation will be then for that 4-hour to start shifting bullish to target those 4-hour strong highs. Alternatively, what could happen is M15 Pro trend continues to target those 4-hour strong highs, which would be daily pro trend. Okay, you guys happy with XAU? The mic is much better. I'm glad it's better. I managed to find the settings in Streamlabs. So hopefully if you're listening on earphones, I'm not just ear blasting your left ear anymore. Thanks for the outlook. Where's your M15 low? Are you talking about XAU? My M15 low? Swing low? Right over here. Okay. Previous break of structure. Pullback started. Targeted those weak highs. This was the lowest point after the pullback that created the next break of structure. Therefore, that's our swing low, break of structure, internal break to the downside, making this a weak high. Okay. Alrighty. So yeah, Euro USD. I'd just like to see those Asian lows before looking to go long. Okay, but everybody happy with XAUSD? Those are the only real two markets that I'm looking at going into this week. GU also actually been pretty clean. Got a nice 5R on GU for London. Let's have a look. Quickly come back to the 4-hour. Yeah, so GU very similar to EU. We've had that daily break of structure. Daily pullback started after the 4-hour shifted bullish. 4-hour pullback into demand to continue targeting those weak highs. 4-hour pullback into demand to continue targeting those weak highs. Understanding that this is just a bit of a daily pullback. Okay. 4-hour break, pullback, internal shifted bullish. So we could potentially anticipate maybe a slight M15 pullback to then continue targeting those weak highs. If we have a look at the M15, we've created that M15 internal break to the downside. Okay, we've also printed that M15 change of character, which we're busy mitigating the change of character supply, understanding that this might just cater for a bit of a pullback, whether that's into demand here or here, to then eventually continue targeting those weak highs. Okay. Can you map out internal and external M15 structure on EU, please? Yeah, sure thing. We just did that now, but 4-hour swing structure. Okay. Previous 4-hour strong weak highs, strong lows, target to the weak highs. Pullback hasn't started yet. Therefore, this weak high in the interim is just there to understand the expectation is to target that until the internal shifts bearish, which will then become our official weak high. Okay, our internal M15, previous M15 break, M15 strong lows, break of structure to the upside, so we can now anticipate a bit of an M15 pullback, which is what the entry I'm in on at the moment. After that M15 fractal shift to the downside, supply and control, pullback into supply, sweep of the original and this liquidity into the extreme with the displacement fair value gap entry. So hopefully you guys can now start to see where sort of my ICT concepts are coming into my entire system. It's always paired up with the higher time frame intentions and understanding of price. So again, I don't just look at silver bullet, or I don't just look at Judas swing or the midnight liquidity sweep or the Asian liquidity model. The core concept and core understanding of price is ultimately through structure, institutional level, and from there, once you have that structure story, you can start to apply your ICT concepts, whether that's your Judas swing, your silver bullet, or whatever you're looking for, keeping you on a much higher probability on the right side of the market. Okay, fractal and internal is the same. they're not the same. So internal, if I had to break this down, okay, we have our M15 swing strong low, M15 break, M15 swing weak high. All of the structure that happens in between the M15 swing ranges is our internal, okay? And then all of the tiny structure, these little highs and lows, change of character, pullback, change, highs and lows, change of character, pullback, all of this that happens inside of your internal ranges is your fractal structure. Now, fractal structure is the most aggressive way of looking at structure. That's why we only use fractal structure as confirmations in higher time frame POIs. Okay? So again, if we have a look at the 1 minute, we entered our higher time frame POI. Well, with accumulation, sweep at that high, fractal shift to the downside with a volume imbalance gap, pull back into that gap, now going short, looking to run that full R, full risk to reward. Okay, but understanding that this fractal structure has just shifted bearish to cater for a bit of an M15 pullback. All right. So hopefully that kind of understands or gives you a good understanding of why fractal and internal is not exactly the same. Okay. Do you guys have any further questions on EU? Any further questions on GU or XAU USD? Then I can hand over back to Hein to go over a couple of pairs that he's potentially looking at for the week. Yeah. But really nice clean play from EU this morning as well.
Are there any pairs that the members want to have broken down? Sorry. Before we move onto the pairs that I'm looking at.
Yeah, you guys are welcome to post in chat any pairs that you want us to have a look at. I'll break it down for you. Hein can break it down for you. Just giving you that clarity of what you can expect going into your session and trade plan for this week. In the same EU setup, great Monday so far.
Well done.
Yeah, epic trade. We actually, we discussed this short this morning. We really wanted to see good confirm, simply because it's both counter swing and counter internal. So that's why I was looking for ideally that AMD setup. We even mentioned in stream this morning what would be ideal is initial reaction of the first supply, then sweep of that into the extreme, which actually played out really clean. USD JPY, US 30, and GBP JPY. Okay, sure thing, we can do that. I will leave USD JPY to Hein. I know you look at that market sometimes. And I'll cover US 30. Would you consider targeting the 4-hour FEG for the current EU short? I see you looking at this FEG here. There's another FEG here. So in terms of my target, I'm just really targeting these internal weak lows at the moment. If price really continues quite sharply bearish, I will be keen to look to target the Asian lows, for then to start looking for the Asian sweep to start looking to go long. Okay. But I'm also now at BE on this trade as we're running about just over 3R. How do I delete this cookie pin? Give me a sec. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So in terms of my targets, I always target relative structural lows or structural highs. I don't look at higher time frame FEGs. I target the structural points. Are you currently BE on EUJ? Yep, I've just set BE as we are running about 3.5R. So at the moment, my initial TP is at this fractal low. Again, I am quite happy as price is busy forming quite a bit of bearish momentum to look to target those Asian lows and rather secure partials over here. USD ZAR. Okay, so let's do it in this order. We'll do USD JPY, US 30, then GJ. Then we can cover USD ZAR. But I'll hand over to Hein for USD JPY. All right, back to you, Hein.
Okay, cool. Let's quickly start on the daily. So our most recent break of structure on the daily was over here, in my opinion. So let me just quickly mark that out. I'm going to do a whole top-down analysis with you guys quickly. So this is our daily break of structure, meaning this would be our, I would say this would be our low, our daily strong low. And then this would be our daily week high over here. You can obviously see we have targeted this before, but we never broke or closed above it. Daily week high. Right, then going down to the 4 hour, we did have our most recent breaks of structure to the upside over here, meaning this would be our, I do see we did break this low, but let me just quickly mark this out. So we did have a change of character to the downside over here after this candle broke and closed below this low. So this would be our 4 hour change of character. So now this over here would be our 4 hour strong high. 4 hour strong high. And then this would be our 4 hour week low. Right. So we're going to quickly head down to the 15-minute, and just before we do that, let me just quickly type in your week low. Okay, right. So what do we expect now? Let's just quickly go back to the daily and see if we are coming off any type of supply zone. Quickly go down to the weekly just so we can get some higher time frame narrative. Right. So we did have this massive pullback to the downside. Again, you can call this our change of character to the downside over there. Weekly change character. Right, now this whole extension move to the upside here needs to break this high before we can be bullish on the weekly. Ideally, I am still bullish on the daily because I don't really focus too much on the weekly. We just want to get some higher time frame narrative. Right, so going down to the 4 hour again, we can see that we have just had this change of character. So I ideally would be looking for the market to turn bearish around here, looking to target some supply zones. So ideally we would want to turn around over here, and over here. Ideally one of these two, as this would be in our discount range. Right, so looking at where the market is now, going down to the lower time frame, we have just had our recent break of structure to the downside, and it does look like we are about to get one over here again. So what I would ideally want to look for is either a break of structure to the downside and then some liquidity or some inducement, and then target these order blocks over here to the downside. Or if we do get a flip to the upside, something like this, but we need this break of structure before we do look at these highs to be targeted for the change of character, and then look for some inducement, and hopefully we do have a valid order block that forms over here to then target the upside again. So yeah, that's my plan for USD JPY. At this point, we just sit on our hands and wait for price to play out. We don't predict, we just react on what the market gives us. Back to you, Jay. That's me for USD JPY.
Beautiful. UJ, also a very clean market in terms of structure and order flow. Let me just quickly switch back to my side here, that we can cover US30. So I'm just really covering the pairs in the order of the chat. So we'll cover US30, then GJ, then USD ZAR as well. There we go. Alrighty, should be able to see my screen. Okay, so most recently on US30, we actually did this morning as, well, homework for my members tomorrow morning is to mark up US30 for tomorrow morning's private stream with MM Funded. So lucky you guys that are from MM Funded, we're actually going to cover US30 this morning. Yeah, so most recently, initially, just to get overall context on the market, is first and foremost, I have a look at the weekly. We've had our previous weekly break of structure to the upside, weekly strong lows, weekly weak highs. Okay, so without even hopping onto the daily, the 4 hour, the lower time frames, we can see we've created that weekly break, weekly pullback after that shift, weekly fractal pullback into the change of character supply to continue with a bit of a pullback. We then swept valid liquidity into the more extreme demand to now potentially continue targeting these weekly weak highs. Okay, so already looking at the weekly, understanding on the lower time frame, it's going to be a better probability to continue riding this order flow to target those weak highs rather than looking for shorts or inside here looking for pullback shorts. It's going to be better probability to wait for that realignment of the internal time frame to start shifting bullish in the direction of the overall weekly pro trend. Okay, so if we hop onto the daily, most recently we can see we have our previous daily break to the upside. Okay, daily strong lows, daily pullback. We then had a daily break of structure to the downside. Understanding that interim daily bearish order flow is just catering for a bit of a weekly pullback. Okay, daily pullback, targeting that daily week low. Okay, we then had previous daily strong highs, which we broke, structured to the upside, which at the point in time would have been the anticipation, especially after the mitigation into the extreme of the weekly. We confirm the end of the weekly pullback by switching bullish on the daily time frame. Okay, so immediately looking at the daily, we've had that daily break to the upside. We are potentially due for a bit of a daily pullback, whether that's into demand here or here, to then eventually continue long to target those weak highs and the overall weekly weak highs. Okay, so this is why it's so important to always have that clear understanding of the higher time frame context and understanding and narrative before looking at the lower time frames. Okay, before we move to the 4 hour, let's quickly just mark out some daily POIs. We have a daily valid flip zone here, daily extreme demand here. Okay, valid daily strong low. Not the official daily week high yet, but we can leave that there for now because the 4 hour is most likely still bullish, and we confirm the start of the daily pullback once that 4 hour shifts bearish daily week. Alrighty, let's hop onto the 4 hour. Most recently on the 4 hour, we've had a 4 hour break to the upside. Okay, because the previous daily high was also the 4 hour high, 4 hour break. Internal break to the downside, which signaled the start of the 4 hour pullback, making that a weak high. We then shifted bullish to target that weak high, making this the lowest point after the pullback that created the next break of structure. So that becomes our 4 hour week strong, and the daily week also becomes our 4 hour week. Okay, so potentially what we can anticipate already just looking at these time frames is a bit of a 4 hour pullback. There we go. At least potentially into the discounts of this range to eventually then continue to target those weak highs, to continue weekly pro trend and daily pro trend to target those overall weekly weak highs. Okay, so let's quickly have a look at the M15, which will determine our confirmations for the higher time frame narrative. Most recently, we have had a previous. We can backtrack a little bit just to give you more understanding of why the M15 is doing what it's doing. Previous M15 break of structure. That internal didn't shift bearish until these lows went to the downside. Okay, internal break, internal pullback, break, pullback, break, pullback, break, pullback. Then we had that shift to the downside, which signaled this as the previous M15 weak high, which we then created that M15 break of structure to the upside. Okay, lowest point after the pullback that created that next break is this M15 strong low. All right, our 4 hour week high is also our M15 week high. Okay, so if we have a look, we've had that pullback into the extreme of this entire range. So there's one of two things that can really happen here. Price can either continue bullish to target those weak highs, continuing daily and weekly pro trend, also 4 hour pro trend, or we could shift bearish, understanding we are due for a bit of a daily pullback and a 4 hour pullback into at least the discount of this range to then start confirming that M15 to shift bullish to then continue targeting those weak highs. Okay, so those are really one of two scenarios that can play out. And what I would like to see going forward into this week, again, we don't need to predict that. We can just react to what price does. We have a valid demand fractal range, valid LQ resting over here. So potentially later through this week, is already the sweep of these lows, mitigation into this demand to continue long. Otherwise, we need to keep in mind that there is the possibility that price can take out the strong low and shift bearish to cater for a 4-hour pullback. But as price lies right now, I'm happy to stick pro trend. That's M15 pro trend and 4-hour pro trend, understanding that would be phase A longs. Okay, I see we've had the sweep of the Asian liquidity into this POI over here, which is also an equilibrium zone, which looks to continue with a bit of a pullback. So if we can target these internal highs, shift internally bullish, we can potentially look for longs on those demands. Also with our valid liquidity criteria, sweep 1-minute entry model to continue long. Okay, so that's a potential trade plan I'd like to see play out going into New York session later today, is if this internal starts to realign bullish, is to get involved on that to continue 4-hour and M15 pro trend. Okay. Otherwise, if we do continue bearish, the only time I want to look for shorts in this market is if the M15 switches bearish. Then that will confirm potential M15 pullback into supply to then cater for more of a 4-hour pullback to get involved on this playout. But as price is lying right now, I'm more confident in staying pro trend, both with the M15 and the 4-hour, looking for longs with the right criteria. Okay, so is everybody happy with US30 and what we can potentially expect today and also going into session further this week? Then after US30, so yeah, at Jaden and Mulungisi, are you guys happy with US30? Nice breakdown, Jay. Thanks, Jay. You're welcome, guys. Then we can hop onto GJ. So I'll leave GJ for Hein, and then I'll cover USD ZAR. You guys happy with that? Any questions on US30 or USD JPY before we move forward? Everybody getting a clearer understanding of how we approach structure here at the SMC Livestream, and ultimately this is exactly what these streams are for, is for you guys to really make this become muscle memory, to see that consistency every morning, and that consistency itself will slowly but surely lead to you becoming independent at this yourself and ultimately becoming your own independent profitable trader. Okay, so let me switch back to Hein and we can continue with GBP JPY. Alrighty, back to you, Hein.
Okay, cool. Right, guys. So we have actually looked at GJ before. We do know that we have had our 2 recent breaks of structure to the upside. So we have created our new high and we have a new strong low, meaning we do expect price to now give us a pullback to a valid demand zone and then continue to the upside. So keeping this in mind, we now know that the pullback has started. So now we do look for either sells into potential demand areas, or we wait for the price to tap into our demand areas, and then we wait for reversal patterns on the lower time frames to then look for buys. So going down to the 4-hour time frame, keeping the daily in mind, we have now still had our recent break of structure to the upside, and we are still bullish as long as we do keep above this strong low. So all these zones that are marked out over here, and over here, these are demand zones on the daily. So we are looking for potential reversal trades off of them. So let me just quickly delete these for you. Right, so a potential trade idea that I was looking at on GJ was a break of a high. Obviously, we did not get a break of any high. We just had another pullback to the upside, and now it's extending to the downside. So now, essentially, what I would want to see is a break of this low, as this is our week low, and then a break of a high. So ideally, if we had a break of this low over here, then we would want a break of this high over here. But that is only if we break and close below this low. Let me just quickly mark that out for you guys so you guys can understand. So we would then want something like this to happen. Excuse me, my drawing. Break of structure to the downside, change the character, and then look for a demand zone over here, then to target for buys, obviously after waiting for some inducement. Okay, so that's trade idea number 1. Trade idea number 2 is then looking for sells into the next demand area, as this is not in the discounted area yet. If we just quickly if we just draw a fib quickly on, well, let me just quickly mark out the discount area for you guys. So that would be below the 50%. So this area over here, right? So ideally, I would like to see GJ come to this area over here, so that we can then start looking for buys off that area. But nevertheless, we would start looking for sells if we do break below this point, below this demand area, as this demand area can still be valid. So ideally, what we would then look for is a break of this low. Let me just draw that out for you guys over there, and then continue our bearish bias to the downside, and then targeting sells until we do reach this demand zone. But yeah, that's my idea for GJ for now. Like again, just like UJ, nothing yet on the cards for me, but we would wait for these two potential trade ideas. Let me just quickly mark them out so you guys do see something like that. And then, so yeah, those are my two potential trade ideas.
Yeah, beautiful, really clean. You guys happy with GJ? Nice breakdown. Hi, nice breakdown. Thanks, Jay. You guys are welcome. Breakdown on EU. We covered EU quite thoroughly at the beginning of the stream, but I will do a recap for you just after we do USD ZAR, and then we can quickly recap EU. So just an update on the EU trade as well. Let me quickly come back to my screen. We have come back to B. Well, on MT4, I've tapped out at B, which I'm 100% okay with. Understanding that we are looking, well, I was looking for phase D shorts. So it really is theoretically the lowest probability to be trading in, but 100% valid trade plan that we discussed this morning. So I'm 100% happy that this is played out. I see we had a mitigation into this fractal demand with a displacement fair value gap really just continuing from there. So we'll see if you guys are still in. It's either going to be a BE or a runner. And then one thing I want you to take note of is once this trade is done, we'll wait for a whole new trade plan to formulate and execute from there. I won't be looking now suddenly for shorts here or looking for longs here to try and force myself into this market just because now I've had a BE. Every single trade that you take needs to be formulated to a trade plan. How's it, guys? Great breakdowns. What happened to the competition? I haven't forgotten about that. I'll announce the winners after the breakdown after USD, ZAR, and EU as well. Then I'll announce the winners for the HVDFX, MM funded, and $1,200 live account. I've not forgot about that, guys. Alrighty, so USD ZAR. Again, I'm just going to use the 8-cap feed as that's what most of the prop firms uses, so that the pricing is very similar. Okay. So if we have a look at USD ZAR, I'm just going to quickly remove my drawings as I've got a lot of drawings here from the past. We can immediately look over to the monthly just to get some context. Okay. Previous monthly break of structure, monthly strong lows. All right. Monthly pullback, potentially due at least to the discount of this range, to then potentially continue targeting those weak highs, which again, at least the next, and we spoke about this on stream, I think it was about a couple of weeks back, I would like to see USD ZAR make record highs and eventually reach that 20 Rand mark. So yeah, don't be surprised if the Rand starts to weaken more and more, because that's understandingly what order flow is printing for us, as these are weak highs. The expectation is to target that. Okay, so monthly break, monthly weak highs, monthly strong lows. We can immediately hop down to the weekly, which we can see we have had a weekly break of structure to the upside, strong lows, which broke to the downside, weekly strong highs, weekly weak lows, weekly pullback into the weekly supply to now cater for a bit of a monthly pullback, as after the monthly break of structure, we confirm the start of the monthly pullback with the weekly internal shifting bearish. Hence why the weekly has now shifted in alignment with the anticipation of the monthly pullback starting to, again, at least areas of demand here, here, or here, anywhere really in the discount of this range. Okay, so we can mark out this as a valid weekly demand. Okay, valid weekly supply, and we have a valid weekly break. The most updated weekly break, weekly strong highs, weekly weak lows. Okay, so immediately looking at the monthly and the weekly, it gives you so much more clarity. We're now going to go and have a look at the lower time frames. Just quickly want to answer some questions here. We move on. You guys opening my eyes today. Jay and Hein, I've watched all the streams so far. Jay, your mic volume is low when you talk while the screen feed is from Hein's screen. Just thought I'd mention this, not complaining. I don't know if there's a fix for that. Is the mic fine now, guys? Is it all right now? You guys can just hear clearly? Just before I continue? Yes? Okay, awesome, awesome. Alrighty, so yeah. Weekly expectation now realigned with the monthly pullback, as we are due for a bit of a monthly pullback. Okay, so as I was saying, immediately, now that we have that understanding of the monthly and the weekly, we can understand that the daily is most likely bearish, continuing with weekly pro trend, understanding weekly pro trend is just catering for a monthly pullback. So from the weekly, we can hop over to the daily. Most recently, we have had our previous daily break to the upside, daily strong lows, which then broke to the downside. Okay, just confirming that this is now the change of character off of the weekly supply for a bit of a daily pullback to then potentially continue. Daily pro trend in alignment with weekly pro trend, understanding that all of this is just catering for a monthly pullback. Okay, so just to update daily structure, daily break to the downside, daily pullback did start. Let's just quickly zoom in here to see. I don't think we've had that daily break. We've just had a wick. Yeah, that's just a sweep, so not a break of structure. So therefore, this still remains as our daily strong highs. Daily strong. This becomes our daily week low. Okay, so potentially what we could see is a bit of a pullback after this previous daily break into areas of supply here. And we do also have valid, more extreme areas of supply here. Okay, so yeah, already now looking at the daily, understanding we've had a daily break. We've just swept daily liquidity, so we potentially could continue with a bit of a pullback, maybe target this opposite side liquidity into the premium of this entire range to then start looking to continue weekly pro trend and also catering for the overall monthly pullback. Okay, so from the daily, we can then hop over to the 4 hour. Previously on the 4 hour time frame, we've also just had wicks here. So this is all liquidity sweeps. So then we'll have to backtrack a bit. Previous 4 hour break. Okay, 4 hour pullback started. Those weak lows have not been targeted because there was no candle body closure. So therefore, this still remains. Let's quickly have a look. Maybe we have on the 4 hour. Nope. See, those are still wicks. Okay. So therefore, this still remains as our 4 hour week low, which we can actually move down to this low point here. Alrighty, 4 hour strong high, then remains at this previous high up here. Because we had the previous 4 hour break, 4 hour pullback, weak lows, price targets at those weak lows. This was the highest point after the pullback that created the next break of structure. Okay. So the 4 hour swing is currently bearish in alignment with the daily, in alignment with the weekly, understanding that all bearish momentum right now is just catering for a bit of a monthly pullback for the eventual expectation to then start continuing to target those weak highs. So we could potentially see the Rand strengthen a little bit before we maybe get back to 1760 or 1740 to then potentially start continuing with at least the next, I'm saying 2 to 5 years, create those record highs. Okay. So from the 4 hour, we can then hop over to the M15, understanding we've just broken the 4 hour structure to the downside. Okay. M15, break to the downside. M15 pullback. M15 into the change of character demand. We then targeted those strong highs and shifted bullish, confirming the start of a bit of a 4-hour pullback. Okay, so that will be our M15 previous M15 boss. M15 break. M15 pullback after that internal shift. So that makes this an M15 weak high. M15 strong low. Okay. Internal has realigned bullish. Okay. Internal break, internal strong high, internal weak lows. We then shifted bullish, realigning with the M15, understanding that all of this is really just catering for a bit of a 4-hour pullback, which we can then confirm potentially later on going into session this week or next week for the M15 to start shifting bearish to realign itself with the overall 4-hour to target those 4-hour weak lows, to continue more of the weekly pro trend and to continue more with the overall monthly pullback. Okay. So yeah, what I would like to potentially see going into session today is we have valid areas of demand here, and we also have valid extreme demand fractal ranges here. Potential pullback into these demands to continue targeting those weak highs. Okay. Otherwise, what could potentially happen is if price wants to end this 4-hour pullback and this internal starts to shift bearish, we'll have supply and control. Valid then to look for a short setup to target those 4-hour weak lows. Our 4-hour weak lows is also our M15 swing strong. Okay. So are you guys happy with the USD ZAR breakdown? Potential trade plan I'd look for going into session today and also the rest of the week with that overall top-down understanding all the way from the monthly to the M15. Understanding any longs that we take, well, is monthly counter trend because we're in a monthly pullback. All right, weekly is bearish because we're catering for that monthly pullback. The daily is bearish, catering for the weekly pro trend, which is catering for the monthly pullback. The 4-hour is also bearish, just continuing daily pro trend. M15 is bullish, just catering for a 4-hour pullback, which will then continue with the anticipation of the daily pro trend and the weekly pro trend. Okay. So hopefully that breaks down USD ZAR quite nicely, all the way from the monthly to the M15 and what we can expect, well, really, for the rest of this week and even for the next couple of years. Okay, everybody happy with USD ZAR? Any questions on UZ before we move forward? Then I can hand back over to Hein to do the recap on EU. Okay, so yeah, we covered EU quite thoroughly this morning. How do I enter the giveaways? We'll announce the winner of the giveaway, which we hosted last week, and the winner was supposed to be announced on Friday, but we had power outage, so we didn't get to the announcement of the winner. So we moved that over to today's stream, which we'll announce after the recap after EU. Okay, but let me hand back to Hein, and we can recap EU. There we go, Hein, back to you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so recapping EU, just going down to the daily, doing a whole top-down analysis. We had our 2 daily break structures, breaking these lows, making this our daily change of character. So we have shifted bearish. So now we are looking for the market to keep on with its bearish order flow. That's what we expect, not predict. So going down to the 4-hour, we are bullish because of this recent 4-hour break of structure, and then we can call this our recent break of structure as well. That would be an internal structure break for me, but let me just mark it as a break of structure just for now. Right, so as we did break this new low, as we did break this high now, we are expecting a pullback to the downside at some point. This is only on the 4 hour. On the daily, remember, we have started our pullback to the upside, but we are expecting it to sometime turn around and then head and target our week lows. Okay, just keep that in mind while we do go down to the lower time frames, right? So ideally what we would want to see on the 4 hour time frame is for a low to be taken out after it rejecting off of a daily POI. As you can see, I have marked out these daily POIs, marked out by these zones. So now what ideally we would like to see on EU is a break of a low, so then that can confirm the end of the daily pullback to then continue to the downside. Right. Just type in the chat there if you guys are following. Right, so on the 15-minute time frame, what I was looking at is we had our recent break of structure to the upside over here. So now we're expecting the market to continue with its bullish order flow as well. Look, so at the end of the day, so we are in a daily supply zone at the moment, but we can see that the bullish momentum does look like it will be breaking out, but we do not know yet. So as soon as we do break these highs as well, this trade that we spoke about this morning would be invalidated, as we did get another break of structure. So if we do not close above this high over here, then that means that our order block over here is still valid. Then we would look for some more inducement and then target this zone over here for some buys. However, if we do break these highs over here, that means that this would become our new low. Then we would consider this our new strong low and look for trades off of this demand zone over here. So if we do break and close above this daily demand zone over here on the 15-minute, then I would still be looking for buys all the way up until this area over here, which is our next daily supply zone. We would potentially be looking for reversal trades to then continue to the downside. Just type in the chat if you guys are following, if you guys enjoyed the trade markout, and if you guys understand or have any questions.
So yeah, very clean breakdown. Thanks, Hein. If I quickly recap what happened now on EU. Okay, so again, same thing. We had those phase D shorts, which came back to BE. Understanding any type of shorts at this area and price is just going to be pullbacks, whether that's to areas of the Asian low, extreme demand. In this scenario, we just mitigated the fractal demand with that displacement fair value gap into the 1 minute gap to then continue targeting those fractal week highs and the overall M15 swing week highs. Okay, so yeah, this is a very good example of where understanding when you're shorting against trend, you need to manage your expectation, which is why I set BE pretty early, because there is the possibility it could reverse from here, from here, from here, or from here. So we're just looking to catch a bit of that pullback before then looking to go pro trend. The only reason I didn't like longs from here is simply because, well, we're trading really in the middle of the Asian range. I like to see longs after the Asian sweep to then continue targeting those M15 week highs. Okay, but yeah, really clean breakdown from Hein on EU. EU still one of my favorites and cleanest markets that I've really been looking at for the last couple of months now. Any other questions on the markup that Hein or I covered on any of the pairs? And then we can go over to the announcements of the winner, the giveaway winners, which I've just got here a free Instagram comment picker. So it's going to randomly generate a comment from the Instagram post, as what you had to do to enter was like the post, you had to comment down below a trader that inspired you or inspires you the most, and then share that to your story. So that's why we're just going to use it random lucky draw. We'll do it 3 times, one for the MM funded winner, the one for the MM funded winner and the HVDFX member, and then the second person for that, and then the final competition giveaway of the $1,200 live account. Okay, but yeah, before we announce the winners, everybody, have you all learned something new from these streams? As remember, each and every person's journey is personal, it's different. So there's many different gems and pieces of the core content that we teach that we're putting together here inside of the streams, so that ultimately you can start to see things that will potentially work for you, that won't work for you, and overall hopefully find your edge in the market. When would you say the market conditions is dangerous to trade in December? I wouldn't say the market conditions get dangerous. The volatility might just lessen as we enter holiday period. But remember, no matter what, price will always follow its rules of structure, institutional levels, via inside of that, liquidity sweeps and your confirms.
I think adding to that, Jay, it's been proven that the fourth quarter is actually the easiest to trade.
Yeah, so one thing that ICT talks quite a bit about in his course content on YouTube is this whole concept of time and price. And to be honest, that is the concept that I disagree most with, simply because price will follow where money lies. It's regardless of what time it is, what session it is, what time of the year it is, price will always follow its structural rules, fulfill orders, fuel price's next move via liquidity sweeps, regardless of the time. I'm learning a lot from you. I'm glad you guys are learning. I'll be doing a funded challenge through December and January. Epic, please keep us updated as it goes. Alrighty, but let's do the giveaway for Instagram. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over to my page and I'm going to copy the link of this post. Just going to post it over here and we'll click on scan. Okay, so the winner of the HVD FX and MM funded lifetime access. Let's go find winners. Here are the winners at Simply Martins. So if you're on stream today, please send me a DM on Instagram. I will send you both the access links to MM Funded and also HVDFX. So we'll send you a lifetime free access link to both of those Discord memberships. So well done at Simply Martins. Please make sure to DM me on Instagram and I'll help you out from there and send you all the necessary links. Okay, then for winner number 2, which is also MM Funded and HVDFX lifetime access, plus also a free 2-hour one-on-one Zoom call with me. Jay, are you guys going to stream through December or not? Yes, definitely. I'm going to be streaming, well, at least with MM Funded, as per usual throughout the holidays. You're on YouTube as well, if Kine is keen to join me.
I will be there soon.
Yep, so the SMC Livestream will continue throughout the holidays as per usual. So yeah, big congrats to Simply Martins. Let's do a refresh and we can do winner number 2. There we go. Find winners. Okay, I have to create an account on this website to view more winners. That's fine. Let me just quickly find another website here to use that. One of those baity, you get kind of like a one chance and then you have to create an account kind of thing. Load comments. I'm just going to use free. Continue. Pick a winner. Okay, and the winner of the HVDFX and MM Funded lifetime mentorship and a free 2-hour Zoom call with me is Zander Mini 23. So if you're in stream this morning, again, please send me a message on Instagram. I will post a post after the stream, just tagging the 3 winners so that they do know they're the winners, and then I'll reach out to them. So I can see the usernames here. I'll just tag them in my story after the stream if you aren't in stream today. But well done to Zander Mini, to a full free lifetime access to Funded and HVDFX, and also a free 2-hour Zoom call with me.
That's actually amazing, Jay. He did, I think on the first stream he still said to one of his mates that he needs to get into Funded. So that's amazing.
Well, there we go. Now he's got lifetime free access. Okay, then one more time. Let me just quickly refresh so it doesn't load the same comments. For the $1,250 live account with instant funding IO, so your rules are there's no daily drawdown, but there's a max drawdown of 10%. Okay, so let's load the comments. At Dirk Crawford, congrats. And so I do not win again. Always a competitor, never a winner. We'll host giveaway competitions every Friday, as I mentioned on my Instagram story. So there's always a chance for you to win. But again, it's a lucky draw thing, so it's all equal to everyone, so it's not biased to anybody. It's just out of random lucky draw. Okay, so let's pick a winner. At Boundless Lord, I know he's been part of my community for quite some time now, one of my most thorough members, but well done, Boundless Lord. You have won the $1,200 live account with instant funding IO. If you're on stream, I know you were on stream this morning, but if you're on stream right now, type in chat. I'll also tag you on the Instagram story, and I'll reach out to you on how you can get that account and where I'll send you the login details to that account. Okay. I'll be able to pick someone from the stream chat as well in the future. So the giveaway is done through Instagram, and then we'll announce that in the streams. It kind of just gets people from like Instagram and that to get involved with the streams and really get active with the community. Yeah. So we'll continue to do the giveaways through Instagram, and you can just participate there, and then we'll announce them in stream. Boundless Lord is without electricity at the moment. I saw him mention on stream at the moment. He was out of power for like, I don't know, 7-8 hours. He mentioned he needed to go. Well, epic. Yeah. I'll reach out to him. I'll tag him on Instagram and reach out to him on Instagram. So yeah, all the winners that won the giveaways, well done, guys. I will get the invite links to HVDFX from Hein, and I'll send that to the 2 winners who won that. And then also I will post an Instagram story just reaching out to the winners so that they know that they've won. But yeah, congrats to the winners, guys. And definitely throughout this week, I will post another giveaway on my Instagram, so make sure to stay active there, and we'll announce that giveaway every single Friday. So every Friday, we'll announce the winners, and throughout the week, I will post on how you can enter those giveaways. Okay, so you guys happy with that? Okay, quick update on EU. Beautifully targeting those weak highs. Okay, weak high targeted. So we'll continue to follow this through. If this candle body closes, we'll have new internal strong lows. And until price shifts bearish internally, we can anticipate that pullback to start. But for now, if we do get a bit of a pullback into these areas of demand with valid liquidity, sweep without confirm, we can look to continue riding that pro trend. Okay.
Yeah, Jay, adding just onto EU, obviously we did share a potential setup this morning, going long, and we did break those highs. So now that new order block that's just formed that you've marked out there would be my next potential target if we do have some inducement.
Alrighty. Super happy. Yes, sir. Hey, Aiden. Welcome, J Mo, the moderator of Funded. Okay, so we'll confirm this break once the candle closes in 6 minutes, because what could still happen is price sweeps this high, continues to close bearish, and we can still shift bullish. So as price lies right now, this is still the strong low. Until this candle closes, this will become the next strong low. Okay, so that's why we have to wait and confirm for that body closure to happen before we mark this out as a break of structure. AJ, what prop firms do you suggest to start with low amounts? My top 3 prop firms is FTMO, Blue Guardian, and Glownode. They all offer from 10k accounts to 200k accounts. In terms of pricing and conditions, Blue Guardian, my favorite. In terms of long-term sustainability, my favorite is FTMO. FTMO being the godfather of prop firms. They are like the founding company of prop firms. They're the safest to go with. Blue Guardian still fairly new. Glownode also still fairly new. What leverage do funded accounts run on? They run anywhere from 1 to 30 to 1 to 100. I know Blue Guardian is 1 to 100. FTMO has the option of 1 to 30 or 1 to 100. Similar with Glownode. I think Glownode is only 1 to 30.
Interesting outlook, Jay. Just completely off the topic of Forex. I've spoken to some friends recently in the crypto space. Mm-hmm. They are expecting a pullback all the way down to about 30,000, and then expecting the bull run to then start there. So the correction needs to start somewhere where we are now, trading at 37,000.
BTC.
And then
let's have a look.
Yeah,
so we, on the yearly, on BTC, okay, it'll be clear on the monthly. So back in 2017, we had that initial bullish run, creating that record high at about 20,000. All we had was a bit of a monthly pullback, internal shift to the upside, for a bit of an internal shift into demand to continue targeting those weak highs, which is what the bullish run in 2020, 4 years later after the halving, catered for. Alrighty, then we had that bullish run all the way to 65 and really 68,000. Understanding, especially after this internal shift to the downside in 2022 and price being at these record highs, we can anticipate a start of the pullback, and we anticipate the start of the monthly pullback by looking at the weekly. All right? So weekly strong lows, targeting those weekly highs. Weekly pullback, weekly weak lows then targeted for a bit of a pullback on the monthly time frame to demand to continue targeting those weak highs. Weekly then shifted bearish, weekly pullback to then cater for a much larger yearly pullback into the overall yearly demand, which we then had the monthly internal shift bullish, internal pullback to create that break of structure. We are due for a bit of a break of structure, or the next break of structure after the pullback, which we can anticipate at least between 31,000 and I would say 25,000, to then look on the lower time frames to confirm, targeting those weak highs and follow through bullish, which is in alignment with the overall monthly and yearly trend, to target those yearly weak highs. Okay. So again, 2017 to 2021, the next bull run. Between 2020 and now 2023, potential bit of a pullback to then start more of a bull run in 2024. And take note of how each period is 4 years apart, because this is where the halving of Bitcoin takes place every 4 years, meaning the amount of Bitcoins available to mine halves, therefore doubling the demand and halving the supply, which is where these big bullish runs have been coming in every 4 years. Okay, so even using 3 structure types and the way that I teach structure to my community members, It applies on every single market that has buyers and sellers, because ultimately price follows where the money lies. And once you can identify that, you can slowly but surely learn to crack the algorithm of price. I don't know. What do you think about that, Hein?
Oh, that looks good, Jay. Like we said, every market with buyers and sellers does follow order flow. I think looking at Bitcoin for my own, just for my own sake, because obviously I do have some Bitcoin, is I would love to see it actually go down to about 30,000, so that I can essentially apply the martingale strategy, layering positions. So essentially starting off with the 100% of what you want to put into Bitcoin, and then not putting it all in at once, and then potentially every time it goes down about 2,000 or 3,000, adding a position that's just a bit bigger than the other one. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. So yeah, it would be nice to see it fall from here.
Yeah, looking at the chart now, I last updated Bitcoin when I was on stream with the members in about early August, mid-September. I remember we were just entering this demand area, and we said if we get that internal shift to the upside, we can look for a bit of a pullback to continue targeting those weak highs, continuing overall weekly pro trend and overall yearly pro trend, which is exactly what's really playing out now. So what I would like to see, and we can confirm the start of that pullback, if these daily lows start breaking to the downside, we can then anticipate a bit of a pullback, at least to demand areas again at 30,000, even more extreme at 27,000, before then confirming the daily to go bullish and continue overall weekly and monthly pro trend. Okay, so definitely a pullback to at least, if we mark out the premium discount equilibrium, at least to 31,000 would be beautiful to then start looking for confirms to go long. Okay, but yeah, really nice. Bitcoin is one of the most cleanest markets in terms of structure and order flow.
Going back to EU, I see we did reject to the upside and sweep those highs. So original demand zone is still valid.
Yeah, so you'll see over here, this candle didn't close with a body closure above, therefore this still remains as the weak high. We want to see a candle close above that to confirm this is the M15 break, M15 strong low, and really just follow that out through and react from there. Okay, so the trade that we took here was just this bit of a pullback here. I anticipated it to go a little bit further, at least to the Asian lows and potential areas of POIs below the Asian lows to then start looking for longs, but that's okay. And that's the thing when it comes down to trading counter trend, especially phase D shorts, is that you don't really know when that pullback's going to end until price really gives confirm, and price really gave confirm off of this more fractal demand to then continue long. Okay, so that's why we just manage risk a little bit more strict, risk a bit less on the trade when trading counter trend, but it was 100% valid trade plan, and also what we discussed this morning. Yeah, and all we do is we react to price from there and formulate trade plans from there. So what I would like to see again is if price closes body above, this would be my area of interest. If we can get that pullback, form some inducement for the zone for the sweep to then continue long. Okay, if price fails the zone, we'll have opposite side supply where we can then look to go short, riding more of that 4-hour pullback, which is also due. So again, everything that we mark out, everything that we do is just a reaction to what price does, and we keep it simple. If price gives confirm of the demand, we go long. If price fails the demand, we can look for flip supply to go short. And it's a simple reaction of those two things. And until price plays out like that, either one or two of those plans, we don't need to execute and we don't need to get involved in the market, because that's not our trade plan and that's not our plan to get involved. I've seen BTC works nice with SMC structure. Yeah, I find that all markets really do. Maybe some are a little bit more wiki and a bit more unclean than others, but they will still follow in terms of structure. Can we please check GU? Yeah, So GU also had something very similar. We had that M15 change of character, pull back into that M15 supply chock to continue with a bit of a pullback into demand, which then now is looking to shift fractally bullish to target those M15 weak highs and potentially the overall 4-hour weak high, which is up here. So this M15 swing week is also our overall 4-hour weak high. Okay, so this is our M15 internal break, M15 internal strong lows, and the fractal and internal has now realigned bullish in line with the M15. Okay, so what could potentially happen on GU going into this week is that potential new break of structure to the upside, new strong lows, a takeout of that M15 strong, switching the M15 bearish to cater for a bit of a 4-hour pullback, which is due at least to the 50% of this range to then start looking to continue 4-hour pro trend. Okay. But yeah, GU also actually been quite clean. I find that just my better trades have been coming from EU, hence why I've only really been looking at that market. But we'll see as price goes out. I always follow EU, GU, and XAU, and EU has just really been nice and clean for me the last couple of months. So you happy with GU at Lloyd McFarlane? Thanks for the stream, guys. Great content. Got to head out. Thanks for joining, Jacques. We'll see you in the next stream.
Thanks for joining, Jacques. Yo, have a good day, brother.
Yeah, so if you just want some context on GU, I know we just looked at the lower time frames, but previous daily break to the downside, daily pullback started after the 4-hour shifted bullish. 4-hour pullback, weak highs targeted, pullback, weak highs targeted. So we've done now that as of CPI last Tuesday, that weak high was targeted, mitigation into older supply to cater for a bit of a pullback, to then now look to continue targeting those weak highs. So we'll have new strong lows, and the expectation really to be following that throughout until we potentially mitigate at least the premium of this entire swing range, to then have the expectation of shifting bearish in alignment with the overall daily. Can you check gold? Yeah, sure thing. I'll recap gold for you quickly. We did recap that earlier. Okay, but I'll quickly come over to the weekly. So gold at the moment, we've had our weekly strong lows, weekly break of structure, weekly pullback started after the daily shifted bearish. Daily shifting bearish, confirming the start of the weekly pullback. So gold has really been bearish from the beginning of May all the way to the beginning of October, pretty much the majority of this year. But understanding that all of that bearish price action is just a higher time frame corrective pullback to then continue with the overall longer term pro trend. Okay, so we had the pullback into the weekly demand. If I come back to daily, all right, weekly extreme demand, our daily then shifted bullish, understanding that that is now realigned with the overall weekly order flow. So we can expect a bit of a daily pullback, whether that's into demand here or here, to continue targeting those weak highs. Okay, after the daily break of structure, we can expect, as I mentioned, that daily pullback, which we can confirm with the 4-hour time frame. So immediately after that previous daily break, 4-hour strong lows took out the previous weak highs, 4-hour pullback started. Instead of respecting the strong low, we broke structure to the downside, which just confirmed the start of a bit of a daily pullback before continuing with the eventual expectation of whether that's more of a pullback to continue targeting those daily weak highs, or even straight from here just to target those daily weak highs. As at the moment on the M15, which is our 4-hour internal, we've created our previous M15 break. So the M15 swing is currently bullish, understanding that after the 4-hour break, we confirm the start of the 4-hour pullback once that M15 starts to shift bullish. Okay, bullish shift, slight pause in price action, continue targeting those weak highs, bit of a pullback to continue targeting those weak highs. Bit of a pullback, weak highs, strong lows. The eventual expectation is to follow through with this, but understanding the 4-hour time frame, we've had that 4-hour break, we've pulled back into 4-hour extreme, we can start to expect that M15 to start shifting bearish, to then continue targeting those weak lows, understanding that we are potentially due for a bit more of a daily pullback into the discount of this range before then shifting bearish to target those weak highs. Otherwise, what could also happen is price could continue M15 bullish to target those weak highs and the overall daily weak highs straight from where price is. So we'll confirm as price pulls back potentially to these extreme M15 POIs. If we do get a bit of a LQ buildup, that sweep with our confirm, we can then look to go long to target those weak highs and potentially even the daily weak highs. Otherwise, if price really just continues internally bearish, takes out that M15 strong, we can then anticipate more of a daily pullback because then the M15 has realigned itself with the 4-hour pro trend. Okay, does that give a clear breakdown of XAU USD?
What time do you get off the charts for the day? For me, I actually get off at about 5, 6. And that doesn't mean I'm on the charts the whole day and then I get off my computer at 5. I just stop looking at the charts at about 5.
Yeah, so I usually hop on quite early at about 7 o'clock to do the markup for the Discord community. Then we stream at about 8:08, and then I hop on stream here on YouTube at about 10:30. So yeah, after that, all my markup and top down is pretty much complete. Any executions that I take will either take place in the MM Funded or the YouTube stream here. And I don't usually look at the charts much in the afternoon because most of my trade plans have already been executed or nothing's played out, and then I just move on to the next day. So yeah, I'm predominantly a London session trader, but a lot of the times I hold through trades to US session. What happened with the videos you don't see? What do you mean by that? Very clear on XAU. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm glad you've got a good understanding. Alrighty, just by a show of hands, who of you guys are watching the stream for the first time this morning? What are the session times? Asian session for me is 1 till 7 EST. So here's the settings of my Asian indicator. Start time 1 o'clock EST, that's in the morning. And then the end hour is 7 o'clock in the morning EST. Do you follow along on M15 and only drop down when zones are reached? Yeah, so M15 is the time frame that I predominantly spend most of my time on, and then lower time frame execution and entry model confirms in those higher time frame M15 POIs. What are your thoughts on Silver Bullet session? For me, it works. Just working on trusting my top-down analysis alongside it. Silver Bullet can work great. Personally, I've backtested years of it, and if I backtested rule-based the way ICT trades it, that's just the, I think, 9 till 10 o'clock kill zone, nearest 5 or 1 minute liquidity sweep, 1 to 2 are in the opposite direction. It can be profitable, but it's very slow progress. There's been months where you hardly take profits, and then suddenly you get a couple of great long runners in a row. So that's why I think the Silver Bullet can work amazing if you pair it up with the higher time frame context and narrative. First time here for me as well, also based in PE. Welcome to all of the new members joining the stream for this morning. Really happy to have you guys here, and I really hope you guys can take away a lot of great knowledge from our streams in terms of understanding the consistency of applying a trade plan, how we use our methodology here, both at MM Funded and HVDFX, to ultimately trade full time and manage risk and execute based on trade plans rather than emotions and greed and all of those other things that we don't want to involve when hopping onto the charts in the mornings. What do you think now on XAUSD? Would you take a sell? Selling XAUSD at the moment would be definitely 4-hour pro trend, but understanding we're just in a bit of a 4-hour pullback right? 4 hour break, strong highs, weak lows, 4 hour pullback phase. I would like to look for shorts on XAU if the M15 starts shifting bearish to potentially continue 4 hour pro trend to target those weak lows, but ultimately understanding that there is possibility that price can target these weak highs because these are the daily weak highs. The daily pullback has started, and for that daily pullback to end, we need to see those 4 hour strong highs targeted. Okay, so my trade plan this morning would ultimately be to see the Asian liquidity model of the Asian lows swept into the higher time frame extreme M15 POIs, demand that's in control, to rather continue long, to continue daily an M15 pro trend. And if that doesn't play out, it's okay. Risk management will have my back. 100% valid trade plan. And we continue bearish, then my narrative will just shift, understanding we've now confirmed 4 hour, well, M15 is realigned 4 hour pro trend, understanding we now can potentially continue with a bit more of a daily pullback. Okay, so again, it'll just be a reaction to what price does. If we get that sweep of Asian liquidity into my POI, looking for our 1 minute entry model to go long, I will execute on that. Even if that doesn't play out and we get stopped out and we shift M15 bearish, then we'll just wait for trade plan 2 to look to execute from there, riding phase A shorts, which would be M15 and 4 hour pro trend. Understanding that the M15 and 4 hour pro trend is just catering for a bit of that daily pullback.
Jay, what do you think about for the people that are based in PE to have like a weekly or every 2 weeks we get together and we just go have coffee?
I would love to do something like that.
I think every week, I mean, especially because, I mean, to think how much time we spend at a coffee shop. I mean, I think we can do a weekly thing.
I'm definitely keen to do that.
And then also just going back to gold, Jay, you don't have to share my screen. I'm potentially looking for longs off of the order block by the strong lows, sorry. Because in my trade plan we just had our 50-minute catch to the upside on the 4 hour bullish.
Wait, let me transition screen for you quickly there. Okay, the guys can see your screen.
Cool, just let me know.
Yep, over to you.
Okay, right. So we did have our daily change of character over here, and we are rejecting off of this order block over here, this daily demand zone. I think on some providers this might have tapped in just right. So going back to the 4 hour, we are bullish as well. And just one thing to clarify to you guys as well is obviously we do target these POIs, like let's say this one over here, but that doesn't mean that the market needs to reach them before we look for trades. So if it does line up with our trade plan, we can take these trades. So ideally we are bullish on the 4 hour as well. So on the 15-minute we just had our nice reversal pattern like this. You can see if I just overlay that over there. Right, so now what we want to see is obviously just a bit more inducement. I'm potentially looking for longs already now, and then we would target these weak highs over here. Stops just below the low. So that's on the cards for me today as well.
Yeah, I definitely think longs at the moment on gold would be higher probability in line with the weekly and the daily, as well as that M15 is now shifted bullish, pro trend with that. I just moved to Durban, do one in Durban too. It gives you a reason to move back to PE.
You had me fly out to Durbs.
I would do that. Like if in time, if the streams grew enough, I do like maybe public meetups, like one in Cape Town, one in Joburg, one in Durban.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be fun.
Okay, are you guys happy with the way Hein broke down XAU? Again, guys, if you have any questions, if there's anything that you aren't sure about, such as why isn't that demand zone marked out, why is that one marked out, why is that the break of structure, this is ultimately the place for you to ask all of these technical questions, where we are here to guide you on that. I'll have to make a trip if you start. New range on EU and GU now. Let's quickly have a look at EU. Yes, we have had that candle body closure. Okay, so that would be our M15 IBOS. Okay, these will become our new M15 internal strong lows. Let me just quickly shift to my screen. I forgot to do that. There we go. M15 IBOS, because that candle is now closed. M15 internal strong lows. Okay, not the swing, because we confirm the start of the overall swing pullback into these areas of extreme once that internal starts to shift bearish. So the only time I'll be interested in looking for shorts on this market is if price takes out the internal strong low, we get a bit of a pullback into supply to then continue with a bit of an M15 pullback. Ideally, where I want to start looking for longs is definitely after at least the Asian sweep to then look to go pro trend and target those weak highs. Okay. And that will become our new internal weak high. So what I would like to see, basically just what I explained. We do have a valid area of internal demand here. So if price forms nice liquidity with a bit of a build-up, ideally we want to see AMD, accumulation, manipulation, distribution, with that manipulation, that displacement fair value gap to continue long. Otherwise, if price really just fails this demand, we'll have opposite side supply and control, valid to look for a flip zone entry, understanding that that could then potentially be the confirmation of the start of the M15 pullback. Okay, but if you guys, or especially for a lot of the members that aren't from MM Funded here this morning, let me quickly come over to my YouTube channel. And I recommend watch these videos over here. It will give you a really good understanding. Firstly, in the playlist section, under the MM Funded ICT Bootcamp model. Okay, I recommend watch all of these videos here. It will give you a good understanding of really approaching price in the way of 3 structure types and our methodology here, as well as really pretty much any of my latest 10-15 videos. So over here was a whole 41-minute live stream. All of these videos cover 3 structure types, 2-box methodology, fractal structure. So I recommend go through all of this. This is for the people that are new to the streams this morning and that aren't really a part of MM Funded or HVDFX. It will give you a much clearer understanding of when you hop onto stream with us, why we are marking out structure this way. Ultimately also the way Hein approaches price. It'll give you just that much clearer click when hopping onto stream with us. Okay. I analyze GU kindly again. Sure thing. Demand invalid. So at the moment, this demand area here, there's been no inducement or liquidity buildup. It's just been a very sharp pullback. So as price is now invalid at the moment. Jay uses YouTube light mode. Okay, also keep in mind, a 15-minute POI needs to have 15-minute liquidity. So although this is just one bearish candle, if we look at the 1 minute, okay, we might see this is liquidity, but keep in mind, we need to see M15 liquidity for a 15-minute zone, vice versa for all of the time frames. So just because there's 1 minute liquidity above an M15 zone, it's not sufficient enough to make this M15 zone a valid institutional level. Okay, so one thing I also want you to keep in mind. Okay, we do have a valid M15 shock supply here. So what could potentially happen is a bit of reaction off there into areas of demand. So yeah, we can just mark out these POIs and just really see what price does when we get there. Do you guys have any further questions on the markup that we've covered? Any of the pairs that we've covered this morning? EU, GU, XAU, and also any of the course content that's on my public free YouTube channel for you guys to watch as well. Again, if you guys aren't 100% sure of the concepts that we talk about here on stream, I'm assuming most of you are. But if you're not, please do go through all of the free content on my channel, especially in that ICT bootcamp as well. It will give you a much clearer understanding when hopping on stream with us, so that you can follow with us along and ultimately, in time, become independent at it yourself. If you get a chalk and boss with in the zone but no liquidity, is that still valid? Every single supply and demand zone needs to have the liquidity buildup, the inefficient push, must cause the break of structure, and must be unmitigated. If it's missing any one of those 4 criteria, it's a much lower probability standard supply and demand zone. Those 4 criteria, which we also discussed in the stream last week, makes a zone a higher probability institutional level. Okay, so we would need to see a bit of reaction, ideally a bit of a range, and then a sweep with that displacement gap to go along. So if you get a chalk and boss within the zone, yeah, so if price really just sharply pulls back and creates a standard change of character, there's good probability that that's going to fail, as there was no liquidity sweep into the zone. Okay, does that kind of answer your question? Cool. Any further outlook on price or any pairs that you want to have a look at there, Hein?
Currently not, Jay. The only thing I'm focusing on now is gold.
I see off that demand POI here, after that, your M15 shift.
Exactly.
Yeah. I see. Yeah, alrighty then, guys. I think then we've pretty much covered everything that we need to in this morning's stream. Really, the pairs that we're looking at, the trade plans that we're looking at on our specific pairs. Besides that, as the week progresses, we'll obviously stream with you guys every single morning at 10:30, going over the trade plan, updating you on what price did the previous day. So tomorrow morning's stream will include an update on what price and what we spoke about this morning, and again, just reacting from there, formulating the trade plan and executing from there. Alrighty, but again, if any of the winners are on stream this morning, I don't think there was, I will then just post on my story just to confirm the winners, and I'll tag everyone there, and then also reach out to them on Instagram to make sure that they give or get their giveaways. Alrighty, guys, then I think we can call an end to the stream there. Is there any other questions that you guys have? Any other help that you need with? Anything that you're looking at? Again, if you do want more personal help from myself or Hein, you're welcome to reach out to us on Instagram. Both our Instagrams are down below in the description. The funded free analysis Telegram group is also in the description. Hein's mentorship and live trades is in the link, as well as funded. So everything is in the description down below that you guys need. But please don't be afraid to reach out to us on Instagram. I'll most likely respond with a voice note, giving you guidance on whatever you would need help with. Hein, anything further from your side before we call an end to the stream?
No, Jay, I think we've covered everything. I think that was a good session. I hope everyone learned I think everyone learned everything pretty valuable there. And yeah, we just come back tomorrow, rinse and repeat, and then update everyone on what the market has done.
Yeah, then hopefully this week, Friday, we can also get our first guest on. I've got one or two solid traders in mind that I'd like to bring on to really give you guys some good insight into also how other people approach price, how they formulate their trade plans. As keeping in mind, again, trading is a very personal journey, and every person is trained to see price differently. So that's why I like the idea of getting guests on for you guys, so you can kind of see what it's like from different successful traders in how they understand price. I mean, a good example is one of the guests that I want to bring on, at least within the next couple of weeks. He's purely a support resistance trader, but he's made it work for him and is a full-time funded trader.
Yeah, I think what the members need to understand, Jay, is that we're not going to bring, not everyone that we're going to bring on is going to be SMC traders. I think what's important is that we bring a diversification of traders on that trade in every which way. Because at the end of the day, SMC might not work for you, and that's just a reality some people might want to face.
And that's very true, and that's one thing I also want to end off today's stream with, is the way that we trade here is just how we've been trained to understand price, to understand order flow, to understand its algorithm, and how we can get involved in the market. But how we trade is not necessarily right according to other people that trade differently. And this again comes back to where trading is a very personal journey, because, well, if you've found a way, whether that's through Lux Algo buy sell signals, support resistance trend lines, EMAs, and if you've backtested a system that you've found profitable and works for you, stick to that, because, well, you're ultimately a good trader. So again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you SMC is the way to go. SMC is the only way or rules that price follows. There's so many different ways that you can trade, but it comes down to ideally taking all the information that you've learned from YouTube videos, mentorships, from the streams here, and putting together that system through backtesting and data collection that works for you. And that's ultimately how you find your edge in the market.
Last one, 4-hour boss on GU. Yes, GU just made another 4-hour break structure.
Yeah, so this will become your 4-hour break. Okay. Updated 4-hour strong lows. And as the M15 is busy shifting internally bearish to cater for the 4-hour pullback, this will become our 4-hour weak highs. Righty. Valid areas of demand. We have extreme demand, a valid wick zone over here. So until this 4-hour shifts bearish. Oh, why is this thing here now? There we go. Alright, so the following 4-hour expectation is to continue bullish, catering for more of the daily pullback, but we need to keep in mind that there is the potential possibility, as we slowly but surely approach the equilibrium of the overall daily swing range, that the 4-hour can start to shift bearish and target those daily weak lows. Okay. But yeah, again, GU following order flow really clean this morning, targeting those weak highs. Alrighty, guys. You happy with the updated markup in GU? Then without further ado, I'm going to schedule tomorrow morning stream also for 10:30 straight after this stream. So if you guys are following my YouTube channel, you can put the notification bell on so that you'll get notified every time we hop on stream. Without further ado, guys, take care. And we'll see you in tomorrow morning stream. If you're going to hop on for the MM funded members, I'll see you nice and bright and early tomorrow at 8:30, just before the YouTube stream here on my channel.
Thanks for joining in, guys. See you guys tomorrow.